Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I've got a full cartload today for things that I want to get done today. I started off with blowing the mulch back into the long border, and I was noticing how incredibly beautiful my Pugster Amethyst Buddleia is looking. Just look at these things. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? So these are dwarf Buddleia. They're pretty much at full height. They're only going to get 2 feet tall and wide. And this variety is the amethyst variety, and I'm pretty sure I copied my mom on this. I think she had this. It's been quite a number of years. I tried to get one of these at my last house, but it ended up not making it because I didn't plant it soon enough. So I made sure to plant these. Aren't they beautiful though? But I was looking a little bit closer and I noticed something chomping on them right here. And then I have another grouping of them further down here on the long border right here. And these guys are getting severely chomped. Woo! Like that. Now, if I lived in the eastern United States, if I lived on the east, pretty much anywhere east of the Mississippi, if I saw this, I would think Japanese beetles, right? Because this is kind of a pattern that Japanese beetles, it looks like. But here in California, we really don't get Japanese beetles. What's much more likely the culprit for these ragged edges, these ragged holes here, is actually earwigs. So I'm pretty sure it's earwigs chomping on this. That's a pretty common pest to be on your Buddleia. And so today I do want to bait for earwigs, which is actually a really, really easy job to do. It takes 2 seconds. So for earwigs, a really common way to deal with them is to actually set traps. So what they do is they come out at night and they eat everything at night. And then in the morning, they climb back down the plant and they kind of hide in nooks and crannies around the plant. So people take advantage of that, and they take things like a paper towel roll or an empty toilet paper roll, stuff it with newspaper, crumpled up newspaper, and lay that on the ground underneath the plant. And then what the earwigs will do is that in the morning they'll crawl down and then they'll hide in that trap, and then you can go and you can toss it basically. So that's like mechanically taking care of the issue. Another way that people deal with it is they do kind of like beer traps for slugs and snails, but it's more common to use oil, I think it's like oil and soy sauce for earwigs. And basically it's like a plate, a shallow, like a tuna can or something like that. And you fill it with oil and soy sauce. They're attracted to the soy sauce, and then they basically drown in the oil and they can't get out. So that's another way to do it. I have tried those, and actually at my last house I had earwigs really, really bad, and they used to attack my Mystic Spires Blue Salvia and my Helen von Stein Lamb's ear, and it was a constant problem that I was dealing with. And I found that the only thing that really, really worked for me was using this stuff. So this is called Sluggo Plus, and I normally use this stuff for slugs and snails, but if you get the Plus variety, the Plus brand that says Plus on it, then you can also use this stuff for earwigs. If you just get plain Sluggo, that will not work for earwigs. You have to get the Sluggo Plus. And this stuff does have spinosad in it. They're little pellets, totally pet safe, completely pet safe for Monty and any of the stray cats around here or animals or anything like that. This is not the old-timey snail bait, right? That was like horrible for dogs. This is different. It just has spinosad in it, and it works really, really well. So when you see damage on your plant's leaves, like I showed you, I want you to think, when you're trying to determine what it is, I want you to think about a couple things. First of all, I want you to think about where you live. If you live in the eastern United States, think about Japanese beetles. I'm really, really sorry. And I get asked all the time, what do you do for Japanese beetles? I honestly don't know. In Master Gardeners, which is my county of California Master Gardeners, they maybe said one sentence about it because we don't cover it that much. And they said, you can pick the Japanese beetles off and put them in a cup of soapy water to kill them. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge for Japanese beetles. So if you live on the East Coast, think about Japanese beetles, possibly earwigs, possibly slugs and snails, but I know Japanese beetles are a major, major problem in the Midwest and East. If you live on the West Coast, then I want you to start thinking about earwigs or slugs and snails. And earwigs, usually when you see the holes on the leaves, they're very, very jagged. Slugs and snails are a little bit smoother, but it's much more likely, the next thing I want you to think about is what time of year is it? So it's going to be about 90 degrees today here in California. Slugs and snails cannot handle that temperature. They go into hiding in this time of year. This time of year. I don't know if they go into hibernation. I have no idea. But they basically don't come out this time of year. So I know it's not slugs and snails. And I know most likely, because of where I live and because of the time of year it is, I know it's most likely earwigs. So I'm just telling you all this, that when you see something eating your leaves, my thought process that I go through when I start thinking, okay, what can this be? What is this a sign of? What time of year is it? Where do I live? What type of plant is it? On and on and on. And then once you figure out, you have a pretty good idea of what you have, then you know you can get the right stuff and actually treat it appropriately. So application's really easy. You just basically sprinkle it around in a circle around the plant. I think the hardest thing about this is actually remembering to do it. If you weed, Bubba. Come on. So when it comes to reapplication, I think this time of year, if you're dealing with earwigs, reapplying once a month is fine. They say you can reapply once every 4 weeks. If you're using this for slugs and snails in the rainy season, then you probably want to reapply more often because it will be raining. And after heavy rainfall, you do want to reapply this type of stuff. So then I would do like maybe every 2 weeks or even every week, maybe, if it's a really, really big issue. One question that I get pretty often in regards to Sluggo Plus is, what do you do if the pellets get moldy? So if you leave the pellets out and it rains, or it's like really like wintry weather, the pellets will actually get like a little fuzzy mold on them. And I get a lot of people asking me, like, what do you do if it gets mold on them? Do you remove them? Do you have to reapply? Like, is it bad or anything like that? And what it is they're pretty natural. Like, I'm not going to say they're organic because they're spinosad, but spinosad, like BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, is derived from a natural soil-dwelling bacterium. And so it basically comes from nature. And so nature is going to mold sometimes, right? So if you leave the pellets out and they get wet and they start getting moldy, there's nothing wrong with it. They're eventually going to decompose. You don't actually have to remove them unless you don't, I'm getting wet, unless you don't like the look of them, then you can remove them. But I would say reapply if you see the pellets are moldy, because that means that they've probably gotten wet and they're probably not active. They're not working anymore. But if you do see moldy pellets, it's nothing really to worry about. I know that's a really weird thing to talk about, but it's a question I get quite often. Let me turn this thing off. Okay, update on the meadow. Not quite an update on the meadow. It's only been a couple days. Monty has been running around in it, which is going to be a problem, but hopefully it's not that big of an issue. For those of you who don't know, I just sowed a whole bunch of California no-mow native grass in this area, and I am hoping that it'll germinate. I'm keeping it moist. I'm keeping this oscillating sprinkler on, and I have high hopes for it. What I want to do next is I actually want to plant out my propagations that I did. I got these cuttings of these Martha Washington geraniums from my friend Katie, and I think they're ready to be planted out. I left some of the flowers on just so you guys can see kind of the color and what they look like, but I will take those off once I plant them. So my thought is, I have 5 of them in these bootstrap trays. These are my 3-inch bootstrap pots, and my thought is I want to put them over on the other side of the meadow. I thought that they would be perfect because the meadow is getting a lot of water, regular watering, and so I thought that my propagations would be getting a lot of regular watering, especially if I put it like them kind of like right in this area, this little opening right there. I did not seed past where you can see the compost has stopped, but this thing is getting water over in that area. You can see it's kind of touching the gazebo as well. Oh, we did talk to the painter to have the painter come and stain the gazebo. So that's happening pretty soon too. So my thought is that I want to plant those propagations kind of right here in this area. Martha Washington geraniums will get about 12 to 24 inches tall and wide, and I have 5 of them, so I think that'll be really, really pretty here, and I think it'll be a gorgeous color to mix in with the purples and silvers that I have all in this area. So that is something that I want to do right now, and I'm going to get going. All right, easy enough. I'll have Jason hook these up to drip, but then they'll also get a little bit extra water from the overspray from the meadow. Ooh, those are gonna be so pretty right there. What a good spot. So you can see them, there's 5 of them right there. And then as this rising sun red bud grows up, it'll give it some afternoon shade, which is really great for Martha Washington geraniums. So, you know, when you plant a plant in the right spot and immediately you know it's perfect. Perfect. Okay, back over here again to this beautiful area with my Pugster Amethyst red buds, my Superbena raspberry, my Supertunia mini Vista yellow, my Sumerific hibiscus ballet slippers, crepe myrtle. All this beautiful stuff here is really, really gorgeous. I have some chartreuse foliage. I have a lot of beautiful dark green foliage. I even have some red foliage with this crepe myrtle, just a little bit. I definitely need more. But what I don't have right here is I don't have any silvery blue foliage. So speaking of my propagations, I have more propagations in my bootstrap pots. These right here aren't looking 100%, but I think they're going to be fine. These are called blue chalk sticks. They're a senecio. They are super, super, super easy to grow. I actually got these cuttings from a friend, and I have been propagating them inside, and I think they are beyond ready to come outside and get planted out in the ground and get some nice hot sun. So they're a really great ground cover, and I've seen a lot of people use them almost to like paint swaths in their ground. I went to the Ruth Bancroft garden in Walnut Creek, where there's a lot of succulents in that garden, and they used these all over it, and they were so beautiful. So I was thinking kind of this area right here will be really beautiful to paint some ground cover with these blue chalk sticks. So I need a lot more. This is just kind of like, I think, the beginning of my collection. Pop this guy off. I think this is the beginning of my collection, but at least I can get started with these. I have 4 of them. I thought I had 5. I guess I only have 4. Anyway, so I'm gonna plant I'm gonna plant these real quick right over here. So what I'm planning to do as these guys keep growing is I'll keep breaking off parts of it and replanting it so it keeps spreading throughout this whole area. So I kind of get almost like a river, look at those roots, almost like a river of blue senecio, blue chalk senecio. I actually get really excited when I start planting ground cover. It's like the finishing touches on a garden. Not that I'm anywhere near done, but it's just so exciting to even be at the point where I'm thinking about ground cover as opposed to like landscaping, you know, like moving all this pile of soil from this spot to the other spot. This is the fun stuff. All right, so last but not least, I am headed to the backyard and I want to work in some of my beds back here that are empty and need to be planted up. Particularly, I am looking at these two back beds. These are the beds that I had my sweet peas in all late winter, early spring. They were amazing. They were gorgeous. It's time for the next round. And my thought is that I have all these dahlia tubers that my friend Claudia from In the Garden with Claudia sent me. I planted 10 of them in my long border, but she sent me so many more and they're all incredible varieties. I didn't want to waste them. So I decided that I think I'm going to plant them in here. And then, so what I did in my long border is I did 3 bamboo stakes around each one, and that was the way that I'm supporting the dahlias, you know, because as they get taller, sometimes they need support. What I want to do in these beds, though, is I want to do the corral method, where you just put 4 stakes on each corner of your bed, and then surround that with twine, and that whole thing just kind of holds the dahlias up. And if they fall over, at least it's going to hold it up a little bit, and so it doesn't completely fall over and break. So I have a lot of room here. Dahlias you can plant about 18 inches apart, so I have plenty of space. I'm thinking I can do like 5 on each side. I don't know if you can see, but I have a line of drip tubing right there. So I'm just going to kind of go through and plant as many as I can. I don't even know how many I have left. She gave me so many. Thank you, Claudia. But some really cool varieties. So I want to get these in the ground. I'll tag them and then I'll show you guys the pictures. Okay, so I'm taking a little break in the shade. It is getting warm. It is warm this morning. It's about time for me to go inside and get a nice big glass of ice water. So I've got all of the tubers that Claudia sent me planted. I feel really good about getting every single one of them planted. Now the question is, are all of them going to, what do you call it when a tuber, it's not germination, sprouting, something like that. I just have to wait and see how many sprout. We're going to call it sprouting. So I'm not expecting 100% of them to sprout, you know, because you never know when you divide tubers, and she sent them to me in the mail and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully most of them will sprout or germinate, but I'm of course not expecting 100%. But I've got a ton of them planted, and I'm so excited because even if half of them sprout, then I will have some really beautiful dahlias to pick from this year. So I planted about 10 in each garden bed, 10 in that one over here, 10 in that one over here. And then you can see I put my stakes for my corral method for staking my dahlias. I put the bamboo stakes in. These are the bamboo stakes that I desperately tried to find locally because I wanted the thicker ones so that they were a little bit stronger. All of the bamboo stakes that I was finding at the garden centers were the really, really thin ones. So these I actually got online. I will link them in my description for today's video. And they're ready to go. And as soon as the dahlias start growing, I will wrap twine around all four. So it's not like exact staking, but I think it's enough. I think it's all that I'm going to need. So let me take you through and let me tell you guys the varieties that Claudia sent me for back here, and I'll put a little picture on screen. I have kind of an idea of what some of them look like, but some of them I have no idea. So it's kind of exciting. So first we have Dark Hill Monarch. I hope that's what that said. Cornell Bronze. I've seen that one before. It's beautiful. 20th Avenue Memory. WBS Saffron. Orange King. And then coming over here, we have Beyond, BEEYOND. I'm guessing that's like a yellow or something. Labyrinth, that I've actually grown before, and it's beautiful. Bodacious. High Suntan. Oh no, here it is. Did I not mark that one? Polka over here. This one's Mystery. Yep, the Mystery here. A cafe au lait. I planted another cafe au lait in the front long border, but I did another one here, and then these two are Mystery as well. And then I have this last hole here that I didn't have one to put in, so if I come across another dahlia tuber, I'll be sure to throw one there. And then finally over here, we have Lark's Ebb, or Ebby, and then Sheer Heaven, Crazy Legs, Omega, and finally, another Mystery. I think I have 4 mysteries planted. So I, of course, used Biotone starter fertilizer in each planting hole, and I covered each tuber with about 4 inches of soil, compost. This is compost that I have in here. And so I pretty much have all of my beds full, except for where I just took out my garlic. So I have a third of one bed free right here. So I'm not sure what I'll plant there. Maybe some, I don't know, some amaranth or something. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about my beds back here this year. I think because I didn't do vegetables. You guys know I try vegetables every single year, and I always am just like, but flowers I get really excited about. I mean, who wouldn't get excited about stuff like this? No shade to vegetables at all. I think it's because, so I live in the Central Valley of California, where like a ton of the United States produce gets grown. So we have like roadside veggie and fruit stands, and we have like farm stands all over the place. So I have so much access to relatively cheap produce that it's just not as important for me to grow my own vegetables. That's what Michael Glassman and I keep telling each other, why we're not interested in it. I don't know. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.